What's up, you guys? It's Lena with Savvy Biz Tips at 6 with Savvy Empire Consulting. I hope you all had a wonderful day. Happy Friday to you. All right, guys, we're going to jump right into it. My Savvy CEOs. Today, we're talking about everyone that wants to scale, but no one wants to talk about doing the work to scale. So let's dive into that deeper. All right. So I mentioned that it's so easy to say, hey, I need these things done in order for me to get to my goal. I need to accomplish some things. I need to accomplish this. I want to accomplish this. You ask someone for advice, you maybe look it up, but it's so much harder, I feel like, to do the work. And this is true. And this is what builds that grit and that, you got to make it type of attitude. Like, hustling, like this is what you got to do in order for you to get to that next level. So doing the work, what does that look like for people that are looking to scale and that are really looking for that systems dependent success? Doing the work means you should begin to plan for your success. So when it comes to your KPIs, for example, your key performing indicators, do you know what those are? Like, do you have an idea what your key performing indicators are in your business? So let's just take a step back. A KPI, or key performance indicator, it basically defines and track the key performance that's relevant to your business goals and your operations. So it can be really anything, could be a KPI. It really depends on your business. But let's just say, just to be simple, revenue growth. You measure your revenue over time to assess the effectiveness of your sales and marketing efforts. So measuring your revenue growth from last quarter, which a lot of big companies do. If you're into stocks, you already know what I'm saying. But a lot of companies measure their growth, what they did last year, and what the sales and marketing tools and resources that they used last year, to compare what it's doing this year and to see if there needs to be some changes, right? You can also think of KPIs as like cost per acquisition. Every time you acquire a new customer or client, you comparing the cost of acquiring them to the revenue that they actually generate, right? That's a big one in business as well. Cost per acquisition. The next one could be customer satisfaction. Let's keep it simple, stupid, right? So monitor the customer satisfaction. You're sending out surveys, feedback to try to gauge the quality, right? You're trying to get that quality of that service of the customer, and really understand what can you improve within your service. How can you improve the value in terms of how the customer feels about your service or product? So think about that. So that's KPIs. You guys, it's up to you. It doesn't have to be a fancy term. You just define whatever it is. Is it your customer satisfaction? Is it every time you acquire a customer, a cost per acquisition? So as soon as you acquire the customer, you compare that to the actual revenue the customer generates, or maybe just your revenue growth. And that's easy. Just compare last year to what you're doing now, last quarter to what you're doing now, see how you can improve it. So the KPIs, they're a big thing to make sure you understand before you can scale. Because how do you know? How do you know what you don't know? So if you don't know, well, I'm not really sure if I'm doing well compared to last year. I feel like I'm not. See, these are the questions you need to be able to answer. When you're ready to scale and speak to a consultant such as myself, you need to have an answer to these questions. As a matter of fact, you should have it written down. All right. You should know what your KPIs are. You guys know Savvy Empire Consulting here. We are all about our documentation. Write down your KPIs. If you haven't wrote them down yet, start now. Start today, right now. Write down those KPIs. If you're service-based, I don't care what type of business that you're in, write down your key performing indicators, whatever that is for you. If you don't have any yet, figure out what it is. Start just with the revenue. Compare your revenue last year to this year. Think about what impacted that revenue. Think about how many people you hired, how many clients you had, how much ads you ran. This is what I'm saying. Okay. All right. So let's move on. Now, as far as scaling, that's doing the work, that's understanding what your KPIs are. Then you got to figure out, wait, where's all my time going? That's a big one, right? We all are on this whole time kick and how save time, work less. Yes, that's wonderful. But you got to figure out how you're going to do that. How are you going to save time? What are you spending the most time in? You have to figure out, what are you doing now that you are wasting, right? What time are you wasting? Where, when, what type of task? How long is it taking you to do? This is you doing the work. This is you figuring out, if you have a team, which person is taking the most time. It's not that that person is slow. It's that we need to figure out how we can increase the productivity, how we can lower that time and have you do something else. So you should be monitoring your folks. You should monitor your virtual assistants. Y'all know I'm big on meetings every week. If you have a VA, you should have weekly meetings. If they're international, why aren't you having weekly meetings? I was a VA. I was a virtual assistant. I know. The weekly meetings, they're helpful. They help them stay on task. They help them understand their vision. They help them complete the projects on time and have an idea and have a purpose in what they're doing. You need to figure out how much time you're spending within all of these tasks. I don't care if they're automated, however long it took you to automate and set that up, you should know what takes most time in your business. All right, so you can do this, of course, simply by implementing a time tracking tool, software that monitors, how time and resources are allocated across your different tasks. So your different tasks, your projects, your departments, you can download that. You can Google that and find that with the click of a button, right? So the point is when you analyze the time spent on this various activities, you can then identify the inefficiencies, because that's exactly a big question that I'm going to ask you. If you come to me, Selena, and say, Selena, I would love to hire Savvy Empire Consulting to help scale my business. I don't necessarily want to have more, maybe you don't want more contractors, but you would like to acquire more customers. If you want that, don't you think it's best to figure out where you're spending most of your time? Because if you want to acquire new customers, you will then need the time for those customers. You will need things automated. You will need some done for you things. There are things that you may need to get and prepare to get to that next level. So right now, figure out, where are you spending most of your time? You analyze that, you identify your inefficiencies, you can prioritize some tasks, you can reallocate resources to make sure people are focused on the high value activities, and we can, streamline the lower value activities, automate them, put a chat bot there, however. But y'all got to figure out where you're spending your time first. It's so fun to say, hey, I'm ready to scale. I'm ready to accomplish this business. I'm ready to push my business to the next level. It's very easy to say that. Very easy. You have to actually execute on that. So that requires work. That requires you taking the time, putting this stuff in your Google Sheet. What is your KPI? What is your mission for the quarter? What is your goal? This is stuff you actually have to sit down on the computer. No one's someone can hold your hand to do this, but isn't it best if you kind of have it done and then you pass it on to someone and you say, hey, this is what I want to accomplish. I would like to use this type of CRM. Can you help me, Selena? And I'd say, hell yeah, I can help you. I got you covered. But you got to do the work. All right. Very last thing that I'm going to discuss is the process improvement and the automation. You guys know I'm all about that. When you implement the time tracking tools, you're able to monitor the time and the resources and everything, like I said. But when you have the process improvement and the automations, you can continuously evaluate your business processes and identify the opportunities for improvement in automations, because you're going to have it. When you create those automations, you're going to know this happened on this many times on this date, and it happens when and only when another trigger occurs, right? But this is how things get done. This is how you scale. You are figuring out your time, you're figuring out your KPIs, and then you're going to go ahead and put that into an automation. You're going to put that into a workflow. You're going to systemize that somehow. right? So when you begin to continuously evaluate your business processes and you identify these opportunities for improvement, then you can streamline those workflows. You can eliminate those bottlenecks. You can automate some repetitive tests, and maybe you can go ahead and get some more new clients. You can put a big influx of new clients. You're able to have, though, you're able to scale and have these new clients because you have dedicated the time, you've done the work, you figured out your KPIs, you got your time tracking, and now you implemented some automation and chatbots and virtual assistants to now help you streamline some things. So you can focus on the bigger picture. But it still requires the work, guys. Y'all have to do the work. I'm all about process improvement and automation. You guys know it's going to reduce those manual errors. You have a scheduled email out. It goes out when on this date, after the client has booked with us. These are the things that I'm referring to. You're going to accelerate your task completion. That is the purpose of process improvement and automation. You're accelerating it. You're having it at a higher level without you being involved. When you do this, you're able to optimize your performance and drive sustainable growth. When I think of scale, I think of sustainable growth, reducing manual errors, process improvement and automation. This is scaling. All right. I don't know what you guys are hearing online. I don't know what the YouTube person you said you watched said. I do know that when you're trying to scale, these are the main things that you should be looking to improve and to document and to write down so you can get to that next level. Your KPIs, your time tracking, and your process improvement and your automation. All right. This is going to help you. This is going to help you get to where you need to go. But y'all got to do the work, and the work just requires you to do some more documentation and think a little bit, critical thinking. And, you know, I meet a lot of folks who are visionaries, and that's great. I work so well with you guys. You visionaries are amazing. I'm an integrator. What does that mean? An integrator means that I'm going to execute, and I'm going to plan, prep, get the requirements, and I'm going to execute on your vision. You give me the vision. You give me how you want the vision to look. You give me the tone. I'm going to execute on that vision. All right. So what I'm doing is giving you guys just a basic step-by-step on how you can do the work. You do the work when you reach out to a consultant such as Savvy Empire Consulting, such as any other consulting agency. You will have already done the work to prepare that person to be able to successfully help you. Right? But you have to do the work. You're the CEO, yes, but the CEO still had to do a lot of prepping to get to where they are today. Dan, Kathy, everybody else, Target, Walmart, you name it, they had to do the work. It was written down somewhere. Okay. Thank you guys for tuning in to Savvy Biz Tips at 6 Savvy Empire Consulting, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.